What's up, everybody? Happy 2025. Uh, Good things, good blessings to all the good Black people. Hi, my name is Amaru.
Hello, I'm Candace, the host of Black Butterfly. Happy to see everybody. I know we haven't been on in a while, but happy 2025.
Yes, and we wanted to have a quick, I would say a quick conversation about Kendrick Lamar's halftime Super Bowl performance. It was a lot of conversation surrounding that. But before we start, I would like to give the scripture of the day. Can't take it away.
All right. Matthew 6:24. When we gravitate toward entertainment as means of comfort, we're moving further and further away from our Creator.
Now, what does that mean to you? Because I know you're very symbolic when it comes to the scriptures.
I definitely am. I picked that scripture just because I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I actually didn't watch the halftime show, but because I've seen so many people talking about it, maybe slightly in an uproar, I was like, well, let me go on and actually take a look at the halftime show. And I chose it just because a lot of people were saying that they was not impressed with the halftime show. But I think realistically, a lot of people in our culture are always they look towards entertainment. They want to be entertained all the time. And sometimes the message is not about being entertained. It's actually trying to teach you something. And I know there's absolutely a time and a place for everything. But I do think in this climate and in this temperature in the United States, we have to look further than just the entertainment sector. So that is actually why I chose that.
Okay, cool. Where do we begin?
I would say I have a couple questions for you because I know my stance on what I seen when I actually did take a look at the halftime show, and your stance when you looked at the halftime show. It's some similarities, but some differences as well. So I want to take the time to ask you your some questions, your perspective, and how you looked at the performance by Kendrick Lamar.
Okay, so my point of view is I think that it was fine.
He said it. He said it was fine.
So let me tell you what happened. So we watched the game with my daughter, and we watching the halftime performance. And at first, when I saw the red, white, and blue, I immediately got turned off because I don't, I cringe when I see that flag, right? So I didn't really pay, I really kind of just backed out, right? And so I made I didn't watch everything at all. I didn't even, after I seen the flag and all that stuff, I was like, okay, I'm good. And so my daughter said the same thing. She was watching with me. She's like, why would you use a flag? And I'm like, I have no idea. But I'm like, and then obviously the thoughts surrounding what Colin Kaepernick was trying to do with the NFL was also, I was thinking about that immediately. And so I was kind of confused because I'm like, okay, when Colin Kaepernick, and so people forget all this, the context. When Colin Kaepernick was making his waves and protesting, right? He was protesting, kneeling for the national anthem when people, especially with the NFL, and he was basically saying that he protested the national anthem because of, our black men being killed by the police. And so people forget what ended up happening was that Jay-Z went behind his back, and when he went behind his back, he actually spoke with the NFL and cut a deal to participate in the halftime Super Bowl show. So my brain immediately went there, and I'm like, wow. So you can cut the man out, and his question, I think, and you can Google this, fact check me if I'm wrong, but he asked the question, at what point do we stop kneeling? And so they was all in the room, Roger Goodell with Jay-Z and all this and all that. And so basically the end result of that was leveraging halftime acts for hip hop artists, which is totally fine. But so you stop a movement, but then allow this message to be disseminated, right? Because it's Jay-Z's, it's under his watch, right? And so that's why I was kind of confused. Like, okay, right? The real movement was happening. You paused that, but then you okay this. So that's where the confusion was coming from. So that's my thoughts. That's my initial thoughts.
Okay. So then let me ask you this, because you talk about the sports part of it, the sports arena, and then you talk about entertainment. So what is the significance of entertainment?
For our people or just in general?
I would say address it for our people first, and then you can go and talk about it.
I
Entertainment in
think
general.
our people have embodied the word entertainment because if you look at our history, we've always been entertainment for white folks, right? Sambos and whiteface and all that stuff, right? And so we was always entertainment. So it's kind of interesting that we still looked at that way in 2022, 2025. From my perspective, I look at it as he's an entertainer. So I didn't put more into it than what it was from the initial get-go. But those are my thoughts.
Okay, I would follow that with saying, when I actually did read some of the comments about the performance, I've seen a lot of people locally here in Indiana and then other places throughout the United States, and people were not happy with the performance. One of the words that they used a lot was it was a whack show. Do you feel like the halftime show was whack, or do you feel like people who did not understand the message look for it to be entertaining when there was slightly a message about being revolutionary?
I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. I didn't think it was whack. I didn't think of that at all. That's a good question because, like, okay, so I think differently, as you know, from a lot of people, right? And so, I just look at it as entertainment. So I didn't put more into it than others, right? On the same token, I didn't think it was whack either. I need the flag. I just cringe. So I that's just me personally. Someone I said I had to take off my football entertainment eyes and just put on the message hat. And I'm like, okay. And then I actually got sent a lot of stuff, and I was watching. Shout out to Valita. She's watching it. I had to look at some of the stuff, and I'm like, okay, I get it, right? I get it. So for me, no, personally, but for those who said it was whack, I would strongly challenge you to reconsider, because if that's whack, then that you're kind of the problem, right? Because you're not really taking off the entertainment eyes and actually looking at what the brother was trying to get us to understand. So again, I thought the message was beautiful. Just for me, I just didn't take it in. I didn't take it in correctly because I didn't look at it all the way. So I've been sent videos and stuff. And so I think the message is beautiful. But for me, well, we'll get to it later. But I have another thought about it. But go ahead. What about you?
So my question was, did Kendrick Lamar provide substance and a revolutionary message to the culture? So that was my question. For me, I would say when I first, because again, I said I didn't watch it, so it was so many different comments about how terrible, how horrible it was, how whack it was. Me and my mom, literally, my mom was like, okay, let's get on YouTube. Let's go find the halftime show so we can actually look at it and see, what happened. So as we were searching for it and looking at it, and when it first popped up, I did see the red, white, and blue. So my mind went straight to like, what is this about? Like, are we representing the flag? Or are we is it a message there? Are we representing the people? Are we trying to get them to learn some sort of information? After I got past the flag, I was like, okay, I get it. And so if you look back at at articles and readings from the civil rights movement and all of that, you will notice that the blood, sweat, and tears of Black Americans is sewn into that flag. Whether people want to realize it or not, it is sold into that flag. We are the foundation of the United States, regardless of what anybody else think, any other cultures. We have put blood, sweat, and tears. We help build the foundation of this country, and we provided a lot of things. And I would just say, that women, Black women, have been the mothers of the United States. Now, I'm not saying that the Black men haven't carried the U.S., but the Black women has carried the U.S. So for him to use that as a symbolism, people have to be aware just of what he was actually trying to do. For me, I've seen a lot of messages in what he was doing. You know what I mean? In the halftime show. So I think some people may have missed the mark.
And that's what I was getting to. Like, and shout out to Sarah. She was one of the ones, like she said, the message went over a lot of people's heads. And so when I actually looked at it, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. Because like I'm not, let me put this out. I don't want to kill the brother because I think he's doing what he's, what he feel best, right? Like it's kind of like with our people, like we gotta like poke holes in one another, right? To validate one's point. And so for me, it's like I'm not gonna kill it because we want so let's just get this out there. So you want your entertainers to have more of a voice. You want them to make a stand. You want them to, talk about our plight and but then my thing is, because I'm always been this way, what are you gonna do next? What's the actionable item after you hear the message? Right. And see, my frustration is that with our own people, that's our age, we've heard these messages before. So we're almost 45, y'all. We've heard these messages before, through rap songs, through culture. We have people who are living, doing some of the things the message is talking about, who are not celebrities, who are not celebrating. Right? I got a brother, brother on my page right now named Shane Shepherd. The brother just got another brother out of prison, and this dude was in prison for damn near 12 years of his life. And so it's about having those empowerment conversations and saying, hey, yes, Kendrick's message is beautiful. It's awesome. But it's also, let's not overdo it because it's regular, everyday people who are not celebrities living that same message on a daily basis. So I hope that makes sense. But go ahead.
So let me ask the question to you. We have had our podcast since 2022. And 2022, everybody, and we have addressed a lot of things in our community. I think a lot of times if you don't see people, I don't know, if you don't see people with drama, then the support is not there. So a lot of things that people are pushing out and they're saying that they're doing, we're actually doing it behind the scenes, and sometimes we may not always get the support that we need to keep pushing the culture forward. However, but if it is entertainment and it is something negative, I always see people gravitate to that. And that is the sad part about our culture, because I believe that we have so much more to offer. So what is your take?
Absolutely.
What would you add to that?
Say that again. I didn't, because you was breaking up a little bit.
What would you add to that?
I mean, and it's true. Like, with the stuff we're doing, like I'll just give an example. Today we got approved for a 230 unit project in Kenosha. You don't see us I'm posting about it. Like, there's people doing this every day. Like, I got a brother right now that's in up in Madison, young brother, making change. He bought his block back in Madison with real estate development, right? It's people, everyday people you wouldn't normally know doing things that's talking about the messages that he was disseminating on that stage. And so that was my frustration, because it's like, we got people in your community who's making the same change. You don't even celebrate. You don't advocate for them. You don't support them. But I'm sure if he had changed, like somebody said, you might as well put Big Meech up there. And I bust out laughing, because I'm like, I kind of agree with you, because if it's not flashy, or if it's not on a grand stage, it don't come with bells and whistles, a lot of us are going to be turned off for it. And to be honest with you, that was what those images are. What a lot of us like you said, someone was saying, oh, I just want to be entertained. That's is go hand in hand with that message right there. So
so my next question for you is, why was Kendrick Lamar performance at the Super Bowl halftime show so controversial?
I think because of the messaging, and then obviously got the Serena stuff. But
hold off on the Serena. I have a specific question I'd like to ask you because
no,
I know
I want to frame this, get a proper context. So it's interesting because, like, I don't listen to rap anymore. Like, I'm still in the 90s with the stuff I listened to and some of the 80s. So I don't listen to this new stuff. I didn't even know who SZA was. I had to tell somebody that. My daughter had to tell me. She's like, Dad, that's SZA. I'm like, who the hell is SZA? I put SIZZA. She said, no, SZA. I don't know who she is. So I see some of the stuff that was involved with her and Drake. Okay, cool. But on the premise, when people, and this is why I really want to hit home. When people first heard Kendrick Lamar was performing at the Super Bowl, the reaction was about, oh, he gonna diss Drake on the national stage. It was never about his initial, what his message is all about. So let that sink in. Who was so think about, and we could debate if he's black or white, right? For me, if you got to drop after you're black because of the Constitution, the drop of blood and all that, right? But from a macro perspective, it looked like black man talking about another black man is celebrated on a national stage. For us, especially, because a lot of us don't look at them as black, okay, cool. But from the other perspective, the white perspective, that's what they look at. And we celebrate that. And that's why I'm like, because it's like it's a double-edged sword. It's kind of like, like that's what. Now think about it. If let's say God bless the dead, if Tupac was alive and he got up there and keep your head up, would that be celebrated as much? Would it have as much energy, right? Or if Nas was able to perform I Know I Can, or Queen Latifah, UNITY, or I just posted today, KRS-One, Self-Destruction, or you see what I'm saying? All these positive messages, but the one that got the most energy was the people wanting to see a black man, quote, tear down another black man. I'm not classified as black, but just from a macro perspective, that's what it looked like to me. So that's why I kind of cringe. I'm like, ugh. So,
but what's really wild is your cousins will drag each other, even if they're not celebrities. Your cousins will drag each other to the end of the earth, and they will laugh at another person's pain. So the fact that they are relating and it's relatable, that they feel like, one black brother got on stage and tore down another black brother, when they do it in their everyday lives every day. They literally will laugh at their neighbors, their friends, their family members, if they're going through, tragedy or trauma or drama. So to me, it's like, how can you get so upset and bent out of shape about this situation, and you're doing it in your own backyard? So consistency has to be the key. Consistency has to be the key. You know what I mean? And either way, it's not right. It's all toxic behavior. But I'm saying, how can you be so considerate in that arena, but in the next, it doesn't bother you to sit on the phone or get on Instagram or Facebook and tear down the people who you see every day? Positivity breeds positivity. So,
you're right.
Yeah. And then I know you, this was your question right here. And so if you can ask the viewers to kind of chime in on your question, what are we celebrating when we celebrate, his halftime show performance? Is it the message that you're celebrating, or are you celebrating all of the music, the dancing, the singing? Like, what actually are you celebrating? Because that's all I hear here lately. People want to be entertained all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Nitra, class of 99 chiming in. She said, guys, let me say this, coming in kind of late, but he's the one with the biggest platform right now. who better to do this at this time? It wasn't all about Drake. Also, his lyrics had multiple meanings at one time. Candace, when will it stop? I agree. No, that was saying I agree with that. Like we was chatting earlier, me and Nietzsche. So shout out to her. She is hilarious. But we was chatting.
Can you put her question up? And Danitra, me and my co-host, our perspectives different a little bit on this. I enjoyed the message. It's great if he was entertaining, but I actually enjoyed the message because I feel like it's important. Do we need to look to entertainers as role models for yourself or for your children? Mm-hmm. No. However, I could vibe more with his message because I don't listen to rap. I don't listen to music that degrade women. I don't listen to music that pull down the culture. I don't listen to any of that. So I think he did a good job. That's me personally. We all are entitled to our own opinions and we all have different views, and I think that's okay.
Yeah, again, let me say it. I thought the message was great. I'm not killing the message. I think the message was awesome because I love that. I speak to our people, so the conversation is around our people because it's like, again, it's their platform. So it's like, oh my God, message was great, but it's like, okay, does the message inspire you to create change in some way? What I mean by create change, it's about hiring us because obviously got that's another conversation, DEI and all that stuff happening, right? So, are you trying to build a system? Are you trying to bring your people together? Are you trying to organize? Are you trying to stop racism? Right? When you see something, some discrimination happening, are you going to step in and intervene? Right? Because remember the messaging. So that's what the thing is. The message is supposed to galvanize you to create change. Make it actionable. That's what I'm saying. What's the next step? I'm always about the next step. What are we going to do? What's the next step? Are you actually building something? Are you looking to just, okay, that was a great message, then go back to doing what you normally do the next day? Does that make sense? So that's where I'm
at. And Nisha, I want to say this. According to oh my gosh. Who was it? I just told you this the other day, Jean. Who was it? Oh my gosh. I cannot even think of it. Underground Railroad. And I just told you the other day. Remember, she talks about it. Why am I having a moment? It's okay. I'll come back.
You're a Packer fan and you lost your voice, so that's why. That's why.
I'm a Colts fan through and through.
Oh, that's worse. That's worse. You're a Pony fan.
Hey, listen. I know you're not talking away the Bears. Sorry, self. Didn't even make it.
I love my team. They stink, but I love them.
I know you do.
That's the problem. But no, and again, and then this is another thing too, like the whole conversation around Drake, because he had dealings with the young ladies, and so again, I don't know. I don't listen to this stuff. I don't, I just was spinning. What's the song the Drake made? Oh my goodness, God's Plan. So I was just spinning that. But it's like, I don't know his inner dealings and all that stuff. And so for that to be a part of the conversation was interesting to me because, people got mad at, I think somebody, I forget who the guy was. He said, if I was her husband, I would be upset that you're actually crip walking and trying to be petty to an ex. And I'm like, that's interesting because I know if my wife was walking and yeah, that's who it was. Yeah, you're right, Stephen A. Smith. And I'm like, I kind of agree with that because if my wife was doing some type
of Smith sounds like he's bitter.
No husband, ask your daddy if your mother starts walking at a halftime show, is he gonna be okay with that? Come on, let's have that conversation. Your daddy gonna be like, I love the Lord. My voice back. That's what I'm saying. Your daddy gonna be like, I love the Lord, but we need to check. I ain't gonna be signing off on that. I'm just saying that. I'm just saying. No, That's just me. I got texts from all type of dudes who wasn't married who said, if that was my wife, bro, we have an issue. So I agree with that. Nah. That's just like if you, let's say you married and your husband, he up there doing the Harlem Shake while somebody dissing the person, the girl, you'll be like, excuse me, what we doing? Like, what that's what I'm saying? Like, what we doing?
Oh my god.
So that was interesting because I was like, I kind of feel that way too. Like I'm not gonna allow my wife to be see walking and then it's a dig after her. Like, come on, man, let's get real. But that's just real talk, But that's what I think though. That was just interesting to me, very interesting to me. And then I saw some clips on. It wasn't even this, it was but the citizen said, shout out to the citizen, and God bless you. Hope you're doing well in your recovery. Was it? But then it's interesting because she used to date him, right? So it's like, is it or is it not?
You still going on about this? Listen, I know what it was. Remember we talked the other day offline about after we talked about the halftime show and how many people was like upset about it. They said it was whack. It wasn't entertaining. And we talked about Harriet Tubman, the quote when she said, I could have freed more slaves if only what?
If they knew they were slaves. If they knew they was
free. There you go. So Nitra, that is for you. Some people missed the mark, right? Harriet Tubman basically said, I could have freed more slaves if only they knew that they were slaves. So some people have gotten so content and so comfortable on the plantation that is all they're looking. Only thing they're looking for is entertainment. That's it. That's all.
Yep. And shout out to Al, big dog. I think his show come on in about 20 minutes. So good dude. We gotta have him on again. But yeah, shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles because they did win me some money. So you know what I'm saying. That's really why I was watching because I want the best of money. So Darnitra, she got something else. She said he did it in the hopes of a positive outcome. I'm sure it awakened something to many people. It wasn't just a message, but it was powerful making of history for us and a call for us to come together because we are the chosen ones. We have to know that though. We don't know who we. Yep, spot on. And that's facts. Spot on.
And so here for all of you guys. So even though people thought the show wasn't entertaining enough, they did not enjoy it. Kendrick Lamar halftime show had 133.5 million viewers, an increase of 3% over the years. 1,129.3 million in the past. So although people didn't think that it reached a lot of people, it does. Half of them because it was controversial for some, and the other half because they were looking at the message as it being revolutionary.
Oh, shout out to Pam Walker. Shout out Queen. He was
and
that's the thing. I'm not laughing because I'm not laughing at the humiliation. I'm laughing at what's funny to me is the feedback from the women because it's like y'all like that's all right. He collateral damage. I'm just like y'all are so funny. Y'all are so funny to me.
Listen, that's my cousin all the way from Vegas. She said he's collateral damage. Her crip walk was at the Wimbledon because she did crip walk at. I
remember that.
Yes, I remember that. All right. This is my last message for question for you, unless you have anything else. So I think I did, and I put this here just because is it showing? It's not showing. Why is it showing?
I think it's under ticker. Hold on. Yeah, you got it under ticker. Hold on.
Oh, can you pull it up for me? Okay,
it's rolling down.
You said it's rolling down.
Yeah, okay. At the bottom. See it?
Okay, I'll just read it. All right, guys. So my last question for Amaru is because I heard him talk about Serena and how she was crib walking. I believe he reported that one of her siblings was actually murdered by a crib, allegedly. Let's say allegedly, okay? And so he didn't understand the significance of her actually doing the dance. So lastly, Henry Crip, a double amputee who created crip walking. What's your thoughts on that? And please explain your take on Serena Williams crip walking during the Super Bowl halftime show.
That's my thoughts was that. Like, I didn't understand it because I thought her sister was killed by a gang member. So it's like, okay, like really, like that's interesting, right? Because that initially that's where my mind was going. Like I wasn't even paying attention to the mess. I was just looking at the optics. So afterwards, and I haven't had time to look it up and all that. But I was confused. I was just confused, to be honest with you. I was confused all over the place. Because my mind was running Jay-Z, then I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking about the crip walking, and I'm thinking about her sister being killed. Game made a song. He mentioned at the end of the song that she got killed. Nintendo Price, I think that was her name. But I remember that, and so that's where I was like, "Why are you crip walking?" I'm like, "Oh wow!" So that's where my mind was. But that's what my thoughts were. But I'm like, "Why you married? If you try to troll him, ain't you somebody's wife? Yo, husband like a billionaire. Why are you crip walking again?" Oh, okay. And then he just collateral damage. You hate you. I ain't hate. I'm just saying, like, no wife of mine ain't doing no.
I did not say you were hating. I said Steve.
Not you. Not you.
Seems a little bit bitter, just a little bit.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is that I think for her, I can't say. I didn't even know they dated. I don't even know. I didn't know who SZA was. I didn't know she dated Drake. I didn't know Serena dated Drake. None of that, because that's not my life. I'm not caught up in all of that. However, I think it's important to know that the crip walking and stuff like that was not actually created by gang members. It was created by a double amputee, and I think it was his dance. And then people naturally just gravitate to things that they like, and so that is essentially how it came about. Now, her doing the dance at the halftime Super Bowl, I don't know about that, but I know you felt so strongly about it because it related to some type of gang violence, and I know you are an advocate for peace, which I am myself. So I just wanted to know your take on that.
Yeah, because I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, like, are we like celebrating gang violence when a lot of us have endured a lot of gang violence in our communities, right? Are we aligning ourselves with that behavior? Because I'm like, and it's on a national stage, and then on top of that, like my daughter. So what's crip walking in? So explaining all of that, like, so it's like that's confusing. So that's why I was like, interesting, But afterwards, all these collateral damage and who she dated and all that stuff. Okay, I get it. I didn't like that because, like my friend said, he said if you're gonna celebrate crip walking, you might as well just brought Big Meech out there. You know what I'm saying? You might as well just bring or Tookie Williams or Larry Hoover, right? Or Willie Lloyd, right? You know what I'm saying? Some of these brothers, and no, I'm not disparaging any of these brothers because when they initially started these organizations, it was not about gang activity. It just turned into that after they talked about the big heads guy. But it's like,
I'm sorry, we missed that. You froze for about.
So that's why I was just like, are we celebrating this?
I'm sorry, you froze for about 10 seconds. We couldn't hear you.
No, I'm saying, like, we have brothers who lives got ended through gang activity. So it was like, okay, are we really celebrating gang activity? Because I know a lot of people kids and brothers from who we grew up with who lost their lives tragically to gang violence. And so that's where my mind went. Are we really going to embrace and accept gang culture, right? Obviously, with her sister, God bless the dead, that she was involved in some interaction with that, right? And so it was just like, okay, are we supposed to celebrate? I'm like, okay, that's confusing to me. And I had to explain because my daughter was like, what's that? I'm like, that's sea walking, and when we see sea walking, we don't think about no double amputee.
You said you don't think about them.
No, double.
I don't see walk, so I don't know.
And I'm just saying, when those who know what it is, when we see it, we're not thinking of a double amputee. We're thinking of the cats on the West Coast, Snoop and all them. So that's what I'm saying. So if we and my wife said this months ago when the Olympics was happening, when Snoop was overseas, she said, "Is that the best of black people?" And I had to think about it. I said, wow, like you just hit me over the head. She said, think about it. They said Snoop Dogg over there to represent and commentate on the Olympics. She said, they say that's the best of black men. She said, is that the best of y'all? And I was like, wow. So they paid you to correspond, gave you a microphone, gave you a guest pass to go over to the Olympics on the worldwide stage to represent black men from America. Interesting. But that's what I'm saying. That's being embraced versus being intelligent, being cerebral.
They probably sent him because half of the population like to be entertained. So
yeah. I feel like he's doing something for new generations. Pac, like the new generations, Pac, he did have Bloods and Crips on stage, so I could dance. He's using the voice two night gangs. Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yes. He's definitely doing that. I'm just saying. Again, because he said he's a double, who started the Crip was double amputee. We not our mind when you play that and you see young brothers who like in Compton, that's just where she's from. When they seeing her do that, do you think they get more celebrated because of who they are, because of who the double amputee was, or the actual dance? They're gonna celebrate the dance because it's a part of what.
And I get what you're saying, but that's why we have to like show and highlight so that they understand like that's not where it originated. Yes, they took it and put their own spin on it, but that's not where it originated at. That wasn't the purpose of it. And so if we don't continue to educate the youth, it's going to be lost. The message will get lost. That goes right hand in hand with them trying to take away all of Black history. Anything that's related to the history of Blacks in America. If you lose it, then the kids don't know it, and we're not telling the kids. Then what's next?
Yep, look behind me. There you go. Yeah. Serena said when they asked if she would come Crip Walk, so they asked her. She said, "What's the chances of me ever getting to perform in the coach in the future? Probably never." So she said, "Let's do it." Teach his own, that's what I don't know. That just I feel weird about that because it's like you might as well just get out there and start throwing up the forks, the rakes. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
I would say it's a reason behind all of it, even though you might not like it. Obviously there had to be a reason why. I'm not saying it was right, but there's definitely a reason behind it.
Or someone up there, Snoop rolling a blunt up there and blowing smoke in somebody's faces. Is that, you see what I'm saying? Like that's the optics. Like that's what I'm focused on. She may not have known the optics that probably knew. She just was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get this chance to perform." Absolutely, but I'm pretty sure years later she's gonna be like, "I probably should have done something different," because I'm sure people who are incarcerated, who got locked up behind those same actions, doing those same dances, they would want different, right? And so that's what I'm coming from a perspective of optics. Like, because a lot of people who live that life, they don't want to live that life no more, right? But then you got entertainers who are encouraging that life. So that's kind of contradictory for me.
Again, I think like the way that what you're reading into it, I'm not saying that it's completely off, but I don't think that she went into it with that thought. It was more so of her trying to talk about how they're saying like Black people need to be humble. Like she was in Wilmington, for her tennis match, and obviously if she did that, I see that. But when Black people do something great, they always want you to dummy yourself down, or they tell you to be humble. So I believe that is why she probably did the Crip, the sea walk, or whatever you guys talked about there. So you got to look at it from that standpoint as well.
This is, it's funny. So when my daughter, we were sitting there watching, my daughter said, what would have been more powerful for her? She said if he walked out there with RBG colors. And I said, wow. Right? Or colors as far as Target, like because we got the whole conversation with Target and all that stuff. Like having a conversation, like having them walk out in Target colors, right? And that protest that would have been okay. I get that. I'm rock with that. You know what I'm saying? Like I get it.
Well, are you protesting and boycotting Target?
No, and here's why. And see, this is that we only had time to talk about this because
okay,
it's interesting. I'm glad you asked me that. For the last
2 minutes, we wrapping up.
Okay, and for the last 5 to 6 weeks, I've been having a conversation with about 6-7 people, and it's talking about some of these things. Right. My question to the people leading this boycott. Why haven't this happened in the past? Why do you have to wait for someone to stop giving you a handout to you to recognize the power that you have as Black people? Does that make sense? And these same people who are over all these souls at the churches, they are the ones who finally said enough is enough. We're going to, well, you're only doing that because the DEI stopped. That's mindless to me. That's reactionary. Stop being reactionary, Black people. And that's what I'm like, no, because when we had momentum with George Floyd, we could have done it then. We could have done it with Colin Kaepernick.
You sound so upset.
Yes, because oh my goodness, it burns my blood because I'm like, so now we want to boycott? No. Like, no. Think about what you're doing.
Listen, are you not? We're finishing up. Are you not boycotting because you don't think it's a plan behind the boycott, or are you not boycotting because you're just being rebellious?
Both. Because look at what they said. Hey, we're going to boycott for a month. Remember Charles Evers? You sent me that earlier.
I did send you that, but that should be the goal.
How long did he boycott? Did he boycott for a month?
10
he boycotted
years,
for 10 years.
For 10 years.
10 years. That's boycott, not no month. When they're not going to feel no financial impact in a month. Then it's got to be over time, and it's got to be strategic.
Listen,
that's what I'm saying.
You are so strong about your feelings, but you have to lead by example. You got to lead by example. I think you got to lead by example. I lead by example.
I think with our people, because we don't know our history. For a lot of you, please Google Charles Edgars and see what that man was doing. Please, because it's Black History Month, right? Please find out what he did. His efforts was so cold, they end up making the man the mayor. Like, think about that, because they saw the power that he had. And we have not realized that. And I'm glad that you said that because I forgot it in my, research.
I'm always doing a lot of reading, a ton of research. But what I would task you at, I would ask you, since I sent it to you, if you would go ahead and just share it with our viewers and post it. If you got any questions, go ahead and send it to us now because we're getting ready to wrap up. Thank you, Amaru, for this very interesting conversation. Again, viewers, our perspectives on this topic different a little bit, but we still find balance. I think it's important for everybody to have their own views and their own opinions. You're entitled to feel how you feel. However, when someone's giving you some information, take what you need, use it. The rest of it, if it doesn't apply to you, let it fly. That's what I would say. You have any closing thoughts?
And do your research. Nope. Read. If you're gonna read something tangible. Read something tangible. Get you some Black literature. Stop allowing people to tell your story. Read your own story. Tell your own story. With that, I close.
All right. We will see you guys in a couple of weeks. Actually, our next show is on the radio, and it is March the 1st, and we're going to be on what time? 9 a.m.
Yep, 9 a.m. Saturday morning, the first Saturday in March. So we appreciate your support. We also got some dope stuff coming, so that we're working on. That's why we've been kind of MIA. We're working out schedules and all that stuff, but we love and appreciate you guys. We love and appreciate our sponsors. Shout out to Latoya Richards Maybach. She's awesome. Shout out to WLTH. They're awesome. Shout out to AK Development. They're awesome. Shout out to my co-host. Shout out to all the people that support family and friends. We are elevating to another level. But yes, Valita, I will post the link. You're gonna find it interesting because people need to know you Black people. You need to know your history. Stop allowing people to tell you how great you are. You've been great. You just lost sight of that by assimilating. With all that, I close. Peace.
Bye.